Hi, we're back here with some new chips from the German workshop, as it were. And this is my outside workshop right now, not very nice looking. It's the back porch, actually. And what I've been working on is a bullroarer. You can see it's a piece of wood. I made it come to a point here. The important thing about it is that it has to be a piece of wood, that it has to have a sharp edge, and that there has to be a string attached to it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It can come in different sizes. This is a bigger one. It's not nearly as big as authentic ones would be, but way, way too heavy for me to twirl. This is much lighter. I can barely get enough energy to twirl it enough to make it enough of a sound with it, but it's good enough to make it work. You find bullroarers all over the globe, and this particular version is not an imitation of anything. And I'm not engaging in any pagan ritual by using it. Let me give you one example of a bullroarer, or actually several bullroarers. There's one of the southeastern tribes in Australia has several official bullroarers that they use in their initiation ceremony for young men. The tribe is called the, well, nowadays called the Gunai. In the old literature it's called the Kurnai, and I'm really not sure which one is supposed to be the most official name. These tribes were visited by A.W. Howitt, and he did some incredible anthropological work, unfortunately a little bit skewed by his ideology. But he did a great job when it came to actually describing what the tribes did. Not so much when he was interpreting it, but his descriptions were great. So the Gunai or Kurnai tribe believed in one god, as most of those Australian tribes do, and they called this god Mungan Ngao. Now that means our father. And they have a bullroarer, a large bullroarer, which they call Wentwin or Mukbrogan, and that's supposed to represent the sound of the god of Mungan Ngao. And they also have a small bullroarer which is called Rukut. Really, whose is appropriate because they're thought of as having personality or personhood. And so they have the large one and the smaller one. And at the initiation ceremony, you have the candidates who were, when Howard observed them, about 14 years old, sitting in a row, their heads covered with blankets, which I'm not going to demonstrate for you now. And they're called the Tudnoring, and they have two sponsors sitting behind them who are called Bullawang. And they sit there totally covered up, can't see anything. And then the elders and some others get a whole bunch of these big and small bullroarers and just make them go, make sounds, and supposedly the boys have no idea whatsoever what those sounds are about, and they're supposed to be really intimidated. Then when that part is over, their sponsors, their heads are still covered, but the sponsors direct their heads up to the sky And then one by one the blankets are removed, and the headman of the tribe keeps telling them to look there, look there, look at the sky, because that's where God is. And so he directs their attention to that, to God, and then they get initiated. And in some of the tribes there's a lot of cutting and piercing and tooth knocking out and so forth, but in the tribes where they have the closest monotheism, there isn't much of that going on. And then in the evening, now that the boys are acquainted with the Bullroarer, they go to the women's camp. Now, the women are not supposed to know anything whatsoever about Bullroarers and the like. They go and twirl the Bullroarers, and they're supposed to really make the women be afraid, because they're not supposed to know anything about those. So that's the Bullroarer, and now I'm going to try to make it go. Now I have to tell you that, as I said, it's not that easy for me to twirl them at speed, just because of my physical condition. And so I'm not even going to try the overhead one that you see in Crocodile Dundee and so forth. I'm just going to do a sideways one, and hopefully I'll get just a few seconds at least of the roaring sound. And as you can hear, it's really competing with our neighbor's rooster. So in just a second, hopefully I'll have this set up so you can see it. Okay, let's try the Bullroarer, and hopefully we'll pick up some of that low sound. That's why it's called a roarer. It's not easy for me to make, and I noticed that the camera mic doesn't pick it up too well either, so we'll give it one more shot here. Okay, well, I could hear it. I hope that the camera sound picked it up this time.